France's Charles de Gaulle. The Liaoning's aircraft launch efficiency is only 20%, far below the Charles de Gaulle's 75%. The Liaoning also relies on helicopters for early warning, which falls short of modern naval warfare needs. The Liaoning turbine power system likely incorporates flaws from Soviet designs, limiting its speed to about 20 knots, significantly slower than the nuclear-powered USS Ronald Reagan, which can reach 30 knots. In addition, during its service, the Liaoning experienced a steam turbine boiler leak accident where a steam explosion destroyed the ship's power system, significantly reducing its reliability. In 2021, the Liaoning showcased its J-15 fighter jets in the South China Sea, but shortly after, the carrier appeared to break down, remaining stationary. Internal sources later revealed that many of the aircraft and pilots were leased from Russia, charged by the hour. Even more concerning, reports emerged that U.S. electronics warfare had interfered with the Liaoning system, crippling its balance system and leaving it adrift for an entire day. An aircraft carrier's most critical components are its propulsion system, catapult system, and stabilizer fins. Without these, planes can't take off or land. The US excels at stabilizer fin technology, which is essential for countering ocean currents. The stabilizer system includes gyroscopes that measures the carrier's roll angle, which is then fed to controllers that adjust the stabilizer fins accordingly. In terms of electric warfare, China lags far behind the US. Modern gyroscopes are integrated with electronic systems, making it plausible that US interference could disrupt the Liaoning system. The aircraft carrier's tilt and positioning are controlled by an electronic signal. If the US military interferes with this signal, for example, by disrupting it with a corresponding frequency, the control room on the carrier may lose track of its ship's position. In such a case, the carrier could potentially capsize if not managed properly. As for the Shandong, it has been dubbed as a replica of the Liaoning, but attempts to introduce independent modifications during its construction have led to setbacks due to insufficient technical experience. In fact, the carrier's reliability is considered lower than that of the Varg. The domestically produced materials used for the hull are overly rigid, and issues with welding mediums and temperature standards have caused cracks on the flight deck, some stretching tens of meters, while stress tests conducted in labs exceeded the standards of other domestic welding technologies. In real-world operations, the strain from maneuvering the sea pressure combined with the carrier's own weight significantly increased the tensile stress on the joints, leading to cracks. The lack of real-world simulation in lab testing in the rush to meet construction deadlines has contributed to these problems. The Shandong continues to use inline six-cylinder diesel engines, but the performance of the domestic engines is inconsistent. Compounded by the poor quality of Chinese fuel, some engine units suffer from severe carbon buildup and even cylinder cracks, drastically impacting power output. Even when the Shandong's carrier-based aircraft manage to take off, they often face problems during landing. The arrestor's cable frequently fail, either missing the aircraft or snapping altogether, causing planes to plunge into the sea with a splash. This is not an isolated incident. It has happened both during takeoff and landing. Despite such serious issues, the upper leadership has been kept in the dark, though it is widely known within the Navy. Last fall, President Xi Jinping reportedly considered testing the Navy's capabilities by engaging in a skirmish in the South China Sea with the Philippines. However, when the Shandong was sent for exercise, one of its aircraft took another plunge into the sea, forcing the Navy to report the incident to the Central Military Commission. Shocked by the news, Xi Jinping is said to have wondered why there was such a gap between China's carriers halting any plans to confront the Philippines, and certainly shelving any ambitions of attacking Taiwan. In April last year, during a naval exercise off eastern Taiwan, an anonymous military official revealed that Chinese carrier pilots had to rely on land-based airports for takeoffs and landings. Although both the Liaoning and Shandong ventured into the Western Pacific near the US base in Guam in recent months, their aircraft remained within the range of coastal airports. For now, the Shandong seems more likely a display piece than a true combat asset. The Fujian, China's third carrier, follows a completely different design philosophy, more in line with Western-style core fleet carriers. However, whether the new technologies on the Fujian can withstand real combat remains to be seen. China now has three carriers, but only the Liaoning appears to be combat-ready. While the Shandong and Fujian might seem more modern, their various subsystems and modules, though functional individually, do not work together as smoothly as expected. It seems that in some technical areas, the notion of leapfrogging development is not as effective as hoped. With rising tensions between China and the US and the worsening situation across the Taiwan Strait, China may feel compelled to display its carriers, even with immature technology, to project strength and deterrence. China's extensive coastline and numerous ports and shipyards may appear impressive during peacetime, but if war were to break out in the Western Pacific, those exit points would quickly become unusable, and coastal shipyards would be easy targets. The much vaulted shipbuilding capacity might prove to be little more than a mirage, with no ability to sustain prolonged combat operations. As for China's carriers, they might not last a month on the battlefield before being knocked out of commission. The Liaoning and Shandong could fare so poorly that they wouldn't even match the lowest combat expectations. Instead of wasting resources, some suggest converting them into floating water parks, allowing people to enjoy their final days in leisure. Perhaps the Minsk already foresaw the fate of these carriers, opting to escape early to a parallel world where it could enjoy a peaceful retirement. In the end, it seems that China's carriers may be more suited for future shipwreck exhibits than actual warfare. While they may lack combat power, at least they will leave a historical legacy for future generations to remember.